What's up, guys? It's Mr. Johnson coming to you guys discussing this chapter 7, the judicial branch of government. So today we're going to talk about section 3, the Supreme Court of the United States. So the power of judicial review is the first thing we're going to discuss. So over the years, laws have been passed that have been later considered unconstitutional. So laws about segregation, discrimination are good examples of that. How can such laws be changed? Well, laws can be changed by the U.S. court system called judicial review. So, judicial review is the power of the U.S. Supreme Court to review if a law passed by Congress or of a presidential action is in accord of the United States Constitution. This power allows the courts to decide whether a law is, or a presidential action is in agreement with the Constitution. If the U.S. Supreme Court decides that this law conflicts with the Constitution, that law can be declared unconstitutional and therefore ending the law. This is an idea that was created by John Marshall, who established this law when he was Chief Justice of the Supreme Court from 1801 to 1835. Marshall promoted this idea in the judicial review for the first time in 1803 in the case Marbury versus President James Madison. About 10,000 cases are filed with the Supreme Court each year. The court may decide with or without a full hearing only on about 100 cases. So majority of cases that are sent to the Supreme Court are not actually talked about. It accepts only those cases that generally deal with important constitutional or national questions. If the Supreme Court refuses to review a case, the decision of the lower court remains in effect. The court may also remain or return a case to a lower court for a new trial. Hearing and deciding cases. So the Supreme Court hears cases by an oral argument. Lawyers from the parties in the case each have about 30 minutes to present their arguments. And the justices would then spend their time reading the arguments and considering what was said. When they are ready to decide on a case, they hold a private meeting to vote. Each justice has one vote, and the decision is made by reaching a simple majority. After deliberating and voting, the court delivers its opinion. The opinion explains the reasoning why the court made their decision. The court's opinion is binding to all lower courts. Sometimes a justice agrees with the decision of the majority, but for a different reason. In that case, the justice may decide to write a concurring opinion. In most cases, one or more judges will disagree with the majority opinion. These judges may file a dissenting opinion. A dissenting opinion explains why the judge believes this opinion is wrong. So, although dissenting opinions have no effect on the law, they are important. Many dissenting opinions have later become laws when beliefs about society or the judges change. For example, in the Plessy versus Ferguson case, Justice John M. Harlan dissented, saying that the U.S. Constitution should not be interpreted in the ways that recognize class or race distinctions. So, changing court's opinion example. So, one of the examples of when the Supreme Court changes its opinion on something is when it comes to slavery, segregation, African American rights. So, in 1857, there was the Dred Scott case. This case discussed about Dred Scott's attempt to win his freedom. This was defeated when the Supreme Court ruled that slaves had no right to sue federal courts because they were considered property, not citizens. Fast forward around 30 years later, 30, 40 years later, you have Plessy versus Ferguson. This is post-Civil War, after the Reconstruction Amendments. African American Homer Plessy is arrested for riding in a whites-only rail car in Louisiana. The Supreme Court justified the segregation by ruling that separate facilities for different races were legal as long as those facilities were kept equally. And this was kind of like the first court case that kind of started segregation. In 1954, Brown versus Board of Education, this was a unanimous decision that the Supreme Court ruled that segregated schools were not equal and therefore violated the 14th Amendment, guaranteeing the equal protection under the law. And that one started the process of ending segregation in the United States. So as you can tell from these three court cases, the United States Supreme Court does change over time, and that's how will any law go. As time changes, the judge's opinions may change, and therefore they can revisit the law. So here are the three main people of those three cases we talked about: Dred Scott, Homer Plessy, and Linda Brown, who is part of the Brown part of the Brown versus Board of Education. These three links are three video links, kind of giving you guys quick information about how those cases went and what they were about. Supreme Court judges. The size of the Supreme Court is determined by Congress. Since 1869,